How are you all? So I hope you're keeping good. So dear students, so we are in the unit second. So evolutions of management thought. So we already so various thoughts of various thinkers. So now we are going to see the one more thinker, that is Chester Bernard. So American business executive. He's an American business executive, public administrator, and the author of and pioneering work in management theory and organizational studies. So let's see his management contributions to the management thought and developments. Yes, so Chester Bernard, his landmark 1938 book, The Functions of the Executives. So his book is The Functions of the Executives. So sets out a theory of organization and of the functions of executives in organizations. So we already know in every organization it has a particular functions in their day-to-day management process. So like that, Chester Bernard also gives more importance or focus on functions of executives in organizations, functions of executives in organizations. Chester Bernard, he summarized the functions of the executives as follows. The first one is establishing and maintaining a system of communication. So try to establish and maintaining a system of communication in the inside the management or in the organizations. So management or in every management or in the organizations, the communication is a very essential factors. Communication is a very essential factors. So how it can help in the organization management process. So communications, if you're going to do anything, or if you are going to change any kind of management process or organization process, so when you have the effective communications among your subordinates, so it will help you to manage the things very effective manner. So now second one is securing essential service from other members. Securing essential service from other members. So essential service from the other members is also one executive factors, the function of the executive factors in management functions. Next, third one is formulating organizational purpose and objectives. So formulating the organizational purpose and objectives. So in every organizations or in every management, so they have a determined objectives or a predetermined objectives about their aim, about their aim or about their success, isn't it? So before any kind of predeterminations, so we could not succeed, or we could not reach our goal or objectives of the management or organization. Okay, so these are the summarized factors by the Chester Bernard formulated two interesting theories. So he formulated the two interesting theories, such as one is one of authority. So second one is the incentives. So other of the incentives. So one of the authority, so it indicates what? So he seemed to argue that the manager should obtain authority by treating subordinates with respect and competence. So he seemed to argue that the manager should obtain authority by treating subordinates with respect and competence. So managers has a kind of authority in their position, but so how he should use that? How he should use that? So that is the question mark in management functions or management process. So he should treating subordinates with a respect and a competence. So we could not degrade any matters, we could not degrade the subordinates. Okay, and other is the incentives. Other is incentives. So incentive also one is the interesting factors. So he proposed two ways of convincing subordinates to cooperate, and tangible incentives and persuasions. So while we are giving the proper incentives for their effective work, so it will encourage the subordinates or workers in a organization to do the work more and better in manner. Okay, so these are the formulating two interesting theories, so by the Chester Bernard. So now let's see the Bernard's contribution towards the development of management. Development of management. The first contribution is the theory of formal organization. theory of formal organization. It is a very important contributions by the Chester Bernard. So Bernard gave a theory of formal organizations. So he defined it as a system of consciously coordinated activities offered of two or more persons. According to him, organization consisted of the human beings whose activities were coordinated and therefore becomes a system. Okay, so Bernard gave theory of formal organizations. So according to him, so a system consciously coordinated activities offered to or more persons. So whatever you're going to do in an organization or in a management, so you need a communications. You need a communications with another persons, then only we can do the work in effective manner. According to him, organization consisted of human beings whose activities were coordinated and therefore become a system. So we need the coordination in our activities. So according to Bernard, so initial existence of organization depends upon three elements. Here we can see the three elements. The initial existence of the organization depends upon the three elements. Which are the three elements? The first one is the willingness of person to contribute efforts to the cooperative system. The willingness of person to contribute efforts to the cooperative system. And second one is there should be an objective of cooperations. There should be an objectives of cooperation. The proper communication system is unnecessary. So these three elements are very important in existence of organizations. So willingness of a person to contribute efforts to the cooperative system. So cooperative system in the sense the relationship between one another in the organizations or person to person. So there should be an objective of corporations. There should be an objective of corporations is also one of the elements. And proper communication system is unnecessary. So communication system very necessary in organization or any other institutions or in the management process. So now, second contributions of development of management. So that is organizational equilibrium. So Bernard suggested an equilibrium model to describe the balance achieved between the contributions of the members of an organization and written contribution made by the organization to the fulfillment of the private goals of the members. So Bernard treated organization as a separate from the environment where it works. So equilibrium inside the organization. So normally it indicates what? So it is a relationship between the subordinates or workers and the management. So organization has a particular object to reach the goal. So in the meantime, the subordinates or workers, they put a lot of effort to reach that goal. So meantime, they were accept some kind of returns from the organizations. So fulfillment of private goals of the members. Fulfillment of private goals of the members. Now third one is acceptance theory of authority. Acceptance theory of authority. Bernard did not agree with the classical concept of authority where it comes from top to bottom. So he said that authority comes from a bottom. So in his opinion, authority is confirmed only when it is accepted by a person to whom it has been addressed. So obedience of such communications is a denial of authority. So acceptance theory of authority. So here Bernard says what the acceptance theory is a very important as a authoritarian. Okay, so he should accept. So that's why the Chester Bernard, so he is not accepting the classical concept of theory, classical concept of authority. Even students, you know already, so evaluations of management thought, so it is raised by the criticize the other thoughts of other thinkers. Okay, so similarly happens here also. Okay, so in his opinion, so authority is confirmed only when it is accepted by a person so to whom it has been addressed. Okay, so disobedience of such kind of communication is a denial of authority. So if the authority is not responding properly to their subordinates, to communicate to their subordinate, they will fail to give various provision to the subordinates. So it is a question mark in their management functions. A person will accept authority under following conditions. The first one is he can and does understand the communication. He can and does understand the communication. And second one is at the time of his decision, he believes that it is not inconsistent with the purpose of the organization. The time his decision or authority decision, so he believes that it is not a consistent with the purpose of the organization. So next third one is at the time of decision, so he believes that so it to be a compatible with his a personal interest is a whole, and he is able to comply with it. Okay, so these are the personal will aspects or accept the authority under the following conditions. Some other conditions they were following the instructions of the authority. Next. So now the fourth contribution is the functions of the executives. So Bernard postulated three types of functions for the executives in formal organization setup. So these functions are, the first one is maintaining a proper communication in the organization, maintaining the proper communication in the organizations. Second one is obtaining essential service from individuals for achieving organization goal. Third one, formulating purpose and objectives at all level. Formulating purpose and objectives at all level. And fifth one is informal organization. Informal organization. So Bernard was of the opinion that both formal and informal organization coexist in every enterprise. Informal organization refers to those social interactions which do not have a consciously coordinated joint purpose. So this organization to overcome the problem of normal organization, overcome the problem of the formal organization. So Bernard suggested that so executives should encourage the development of informal organization to bring a choosiveness in organization and also to serve as a means of communication. Now let's see the contributions of Herbert Simon. The five major contributions of Herbert Simon towards the management. The some of the major contributions of Herbert Simon towards the management are as follows. The first one is the concept of organization. The first one is concept of organization. Second one is a decision making. Third one is a bounded rationality, and fourth one is administrative man, and fifth one is organizational communications. Let's see in detail what what are the contributions of Herbert Simon. Herbert Simon, a Nobel Prize winner in economics, has made a significant contributions in the field of management, particularly administrative behavior and decision making. His contributions cover both social systems and decision theory approaches. So particularly more particularly the latter, he described these principles as myths, slogans, and the homely proverbs. So Simon looked at organizational problems in totally of the socio psychological context and viewed that the decision making takes place in this context. So his major contributions to management are summarized below. The first one is the concept of organization. First one is concept of organization. Simon has described as organization as a complex network of a decisional process, all pointed towards their influence upon the behavior of the operatives. So he has viewed that the organization continuing distributions and allocations of decision making functions. So according to him, so psychology of the organization is to be found in the process whereby organization influences the decision of its members, supplying these decisions with their devices. Thus the best way to analyze an organization is to find out where and by whom decisions are made. So it is the concept of organization. So it includes the whole concept of organization, what they do and do nots. What they do and do nots. Second one is the decision making. Decision making. Perhaps the great contributions of Simon is in the field of decision making. So decision making is the core of management, and management is the synonymous with decision, synonymous with a decision making. So this is why he has been referred to as a decision theorist. According to him, the decision process can be broken into a series of three sequential steps. So here we can see the three sequential steps. So decision making concept. So students, you know already what is decision making and how it very important in management functions, isn't it? So next, let's see the sequential steps relating to a decision making. The first one is intelligent activity, the initial phase of searching the environment for the conditions calling for decision. Condition calling for the decision is the first step. Next, second one is so design activity, the phase of inventing, developing, and analyzing possible course of action to take place, and the choose activity, the final phase of actual choose selecting a particular course of actions from those available. So these are the sequential steps, so related to a decision making, related to decision making. So next one is a bounded rationality, bounded rationality. So Simon is of view that the man is not completely rational. Man is not a completely rational. So he has criticized the theory which are based on the assumptions of a complete rationality. So he criticized the theory, so which are based on the assumptions of a complete rationality. Assumptions. So they assume about the rationality. So he has advocated the principles of a bounded rationality. Accordingly, manager do not go for a maximum satisfactions of a decision, but are satisfied with a good enough stratifications from a decision. Managers cannot maximize on account of various limitations and constraints. A decision is irrational or the irrational for achieving the desired end. Appropriate means are adopted. So, however, it is not easy to separate the ends from the means because of ends means a chain. Because of ends means a chain. So, this ends means a chain is a seldom an integrated or a completely integrated one. The relationship between organizational activities and ultimate objectives is also not dear. So moreover, a simple ends means a chain analysis so may not help in reaching accurate a conclusion because what is an end at one point of time or at one level of organization might be a means at the other time or at the other level of the organization. So next contribution is administrative man. Administrative man. So Simon has given the concept of administrative man as the model of decision making. The model is based on the following assumptions. This model is based on the following assumptions. Which are the assumptions? The first one is administrative man adopts a stratification approach in decision making rather than the maximizing approach of economic man. So next second assumption is he pursues the world as a simplified model of a real world. So thus he remains content with a simplifications. Third one is he can make his choice so without a first determining all possible alternatives and without screening that these are in fact all the alternatives. So fourth one is he is able to make decision with relatively simple rule of thumb or a tricks of trade or a force of habit. The administrative man model describes the decision making process of manager Tarte, then alternative thereby of economic man. So according to him, so administrative man, so he need a kind of a decision making process. So that is a very important factors, very important factors. Now let's see the one more contributions, one more contribution. So organizational communications. Simon has emphasized the role of communication in an organization. According to him, there are three stages in communication process. So initiation, transmittal, and the receipt of informations. There may be a block of communications, and any of these are three stages. In order to overcome the problem of communications, he has emphasized the role of information communications and has attached a less importance to the formal network of authority. So it indicates nothing but the organization communication is the important factors. Even we know that the communication how very important role in an organization or in a management, isn't it? Deals of many good things in a management functions. So now let's see the contribution of Peter Drucker to the management. So here we can see the six major contribution to the management. So some of the major contributions of the Peter Drucker are as follows. The first one is the nature of management. First one is nature of management. Second one is management functions. Third one is organization structure. Fourth one is federalism. Fifth one is management by objectives, and sixth one is organizational changes. So among the contemporary management thinkers, the Peter Drucker outshines outshines all. So he has varied experience and background which include a psychology, sociology, law, and journalism. Through his consultancy assessment consultancy assignments, so he has developed the solution to a number of managerial problems. So therefore his contributions cover various approaches of management. He has written many books and papers. He has written many books and papers because he has enough knowledge about the management concept. The more important books are The Practice of Management in the year 1954, and next one is Managing by Results 1964, The Effective Executive 1967, The Age of Discontinuity, so 1969, The Management Tasks, Responsibilities are a Practice, so 1974, and The Management Challenges for a Second Century, so 1999. The first contribution is the nature of management. So Drucker is against a bureaucratic management and has emphasized the management with the creative and innovative characteristics. So the basic objective of management is to lead towards the innovation. The concept of innovation is a quite broad. So it may include the development of new ideas. Combining of old and new ideas, and adaptations of ideas from the other field, or even to act as the catalyst and encouraging others to carry out innovation. So he has treated management as a discipline as well as a profession. As a discipline, management has its own tools, skills, techniques, and approaches. However, management is a more practice rather than a science. So thus, a Drucker may be placed in empirical school of management. So while talking management as a profession, Drucker does not advocate to treat a management as a strict profession, but only a liberal profession which place more emphasis that a manager should not only have skills and techniques, but should have the right perspective putting the things into a practice. So they should be a good practitioner so that they can understand the social and cultural requirements of various organizations and the countries. So second one is the management functions. So his contributions we can see uh, related to management functions. According to Drucker, so management is the organs of its institution. It has no functions in itself and no existence in itself. He sees management thought its tasks accordingly. So there are three basic functions of a manager, so which he must perform to enable the institution to make its a contribution for. The first one is the specific purpose and mission of the institution, whether a business, hospital, or a university. So making work productive and the worker achieving. And third one is managing social impact and social responsibilities. All these three functions are performed simultaneously within the same managerial actions. A manager has to act as an administrator where he has to improve upon what already exists and already knows. He has to act as an entrepreneur in redirecting the resources from a seas of to or diminishing results to area of a high or increasing result. Thus, a manager has to perform the several functions and setting of the objectives, making organizing and motivating. So, Drucker has attacked a great importance to the objective settings, the functions, and has a specific 8 areas where a clear objective setting is required. So these are a market standing. These are a market standing involves a productive, psychological, physical, and financial resources. So profitability, managerial performance, and development, workers performed, and attitude, and the public responsibility. So these are the public responsibility. Drucker's third contribution towards the management is organizational structure. Organization structure. Drucker has decried a bureaucratic structure because of its too many dysfunctions of functional effects. Dysfunctional effects. So therefore, he should be replaced. Therefore, he should be replaced, and he has emphasized the three basic characteristics of an effective organization structure. So there are, the first one is enterprise should be organized for performance. Enterprise should be organized for performance. And second one is it should contain the least possible number of managerial level. It should contain the least possible number of managerial level. And third one is it must make possible the training and testing of tomorrow's top manager's responsibility to a manager while still he is young. So he has identified three basic aspects in organization activities analysis. So in organization, the first one is activity analysis, and second one is a decision analysis, and third one is a relation analysis. And an activity analysis shows what work has to be performed, what kind what kind of work should be put together, and what emphasis to be given to each activity in the organization structure. Decision analysis takes into account the four aspects of a decision. The degree of maturity in the decision is a very important factor. So wherever you're going to, wherever in the situations while you're going to take a decision, so you are moreover think of your future aspects.
future aspects. So same here also we can see the impact of decision over other functions and number of quantitative factors that enter into it, and whether the decision is a periodically recurrent or a rare. So such an analysis will determine the level at which the decision can be made. Relation analysis helps in defining the structure and also to give guidance in manning the structure. Guidance in manning the structure. So it is a third contribution of Drucker towards the management. Yes. Fourth one is a federalism or the system of government. So Drucker has advocated the concept of federalism. Federalism refers to the centralized control in decentralized structure. Decentralized structure goes for beyond the delegations of authority. It creates the new constitutions and new ordering principles. So it creates a new constitutions and new ordering principles. So he has emphasized the close link between the decision adopted by the top management on the one hand and by the autonomous unit of the other. So this is just like a relationship between a federal government and the state governments. In a federal organization, local management should participate in the decision that set the limits of their own authority. Federalism has a certain positive value over other methods of organizing. So these are as follows. The first one is it sets the top management free to devote itself to its proper functions. Second one, it defines the functions and responsibilities of the operating people. It creates a yardstick to measure their success and effectiveness in operating jobs, and it helps to resolve the problems of continuity through giving the managers of various units educations in various units educations in top management problems and functions while in an operating position. Okay, so it is a fourth contributions of Druckers towards the management. Now the fifth contribution is MBO. What is the full form of MBO? I hope you know, students, already. So management by objectives. Yes, management by objectives. Management by objective is regarded as one of the important contributions of Drucker to the discipline of management. He introduced his concept or this concept in 1954. Management by objective has further been modified by which has been termed as management by result. Management by objective includes a method of planning, setting standards and performance appraisals and motivation. According to Drucker, management by objective is not only a technique of management, but it is a philosophy of managing. It transforms the basic assumptions of managing from exercising cattle to self-control. Therefore, in order to practice management by objective, the organization must change itself. Management by objective has become such a popular way of managing that today is regarded as he must modern management approach. He must follow the modern management approach. So in fact, it has revolutionized the management process. Now the sixth contribution is organizational changes. Drucker has visualized a rapid changes in the society because of a rapid technological development. Though he has not resistant to change, he feels concerned for the rapid changes and their impact on the human life. Normally, some changes can be absorbed by the organization, but not the rapid changes. Since rapid changes are occurring in the society, human beings should develop a philosophy to face the changes and take them as challenges for making the society better. Can be done by developing dynamic organizations, so which are able to absorb changes much faster than static ones. Drucker's contributions have made a tremendous impact on a management practice. His contributions have been recognized even by the management thinkers of a socialist bloc. Socialist bloc. So these all are the contributions of the Druckers towards the management. So next we are going to see the one more thinker, that is Elton Mayo. Elton Mayo. So he's also contributed something towards the management process. So let's see in next class. Okay. Thank you. Dear students, I think it's enough for today. So we will meet in next class. Till that time, bye bye. Have a nice day. Thank you.